Welcome to MVSU News on WVSD TV.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Carol Gordon, acting chair of the Mississippi Valley State Mass Communication Department, and we welcome you and are honored that you're here. A year ago, actually, spring, we started what we call the Communication Speaker Series, which was a time when we invite in people who will volunteer to come or to do it virtually, industry leaders, not just any old Joe Smo off the street, people who have actually affected change in the industry. And so today, thanks to Mr. White, please give him a hand. We have the amazing Miss Johnnie Walker. Now, what's wonderful is she's here because she is from Grenada, and she was the marshal for the ML King celebration this year. And so she led the parade because she made history in Grenada. She was one of the first. When Martin Luther King came through, she was one of the first, and we have others who actually went to jail who was actually products of the exploitation.
Yeah.
In fact, you didn't go to jail.
I didn't go to jail.
Did you get beat?
Listen, I made a choice. I'm going home.
Okay.
I didn't go to jail.
Here's our jailbird right
That's
there.
the jailbird right there.
But so she's been an activist who as a child and ended up in the industry. So I'm going to read a little bit of what she has done. She is known as an entertainment executive, entrepreneur, music consultant, subject matter expert, and a speaker and mentor. But let's go on and find out. She encompasses all of these because she is the executive overseer of multiple organizations and entertainment venues. She is the innovative founder and CEO of, get these initials, NABFEME, the National Association of Black Female Executives in Music and Entertainment. Okay, this is a professional organization comprised of 20 networks established in the USA, Canada, and Africa. It is dedicated to the support and the empowerment of women in recorded music, media and technology, sports, film, and television, fashion, and related disciplines. Ms. Walker is also the executive director of Memphis Music Matters, a nonprofit foundation that supports the Memphis music culture, and the creator of Women Who Jam, a syndicated all-female themed radio show and live music showcase series. That's an applause right there. She has received several awards. Even Reverend Jesse Jackson, Rainbow Push, gave her a Woman of Conscience Award. She's a Delta Sigma Theta.
Well, I'm not. My daughter is, but I got the Osceola Award.
She's an Osceola recipient.
I'm an Osceola recipient, yes.
Okay, so she has done it all. Y'all, and I'm going to go y'all. That's my Texas time. Y'all. She started in Grenada at the Country and Music radio station. And then at one point was the first and only, well, you're the first female senior vice president of promotions for Def Jam recordings. Anybody know Def Jam? Yes. Okay, so that take her out of the country music. That's something else, right? Okay, but she didn't stop there. She has also been, you were also with DreamWorks?
Yes, I was head of Black Music.
Okay, head of Black Music at DreamWorks. And y'all, she even had time to be a mother, a grandmother, run companies, oversee, mentor entertainment executives and influentials, and then had enough time to come to little old MVSU with you. Please receive her. Right? Okay.
So I don't know if I should sit or stand or.
Why don't you stand?
Let's stand up.
Wave. You can do
yes.
a wave, okay?
Yeah.
Receive her again, please. Okay. So now the way the speaker series.
Oops.
No. The way the speaker series works is that we're going to have a conversation, and then you're going to ask questions, but we're going to be informal, and we're just going to try to figure some things out. Did you have a you have a facial going on? Are you thinking out loud?
We all at our accomplishments.
See, I wanted to get that
Well,
out loud.
I want some good questions then, good
Okay,
questions.
So I'm just going to start, but you all are going to finish it.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay, we can
Okay.
sit. Okay. Miss Johnnie Walker, how did you get from Grenada to California to the whole world to Memphis and now back to us?
Well, I think just like Dr. Martin Luther King, I had a dream. I had a dream, and I fueled that dream with passion. I was very determined, and as I said earlier this morning, I had a plan. And the plan is, I knew what I wanted. I wanted to be in radio. I thought that radio was going to be my ticket to being, in the music industry, or I just saw it as a ticket. The thing I didn't see was that I was black. I missed that somehow. I don't know how I missed that.
You didn't get the
I didn't get the memo on that, but I missed that I was black, I was female, and the radio station didn't want me. Those things I missed, but they didn't stop me. My father always would tell me, go back. You just got to keep going back. So for me, to get that job at the country radio station was really the catalyst for, like you said, getting to New York or California or what have you. But it's all.
What was your background before that? What made you think you could be in radio? What training did you have?
I had none. Well, sometimes, like I said, Dr. Martin Luther King had a dream. Sometimes you have a passion. Sometimes you're very passionate about something, and sometimes God reveals things to you. You know who you are and know what your purpose is. I was working when my family was just like, okay, she done lost her mind. I was working for a wheel cover factory there in Grenada. And they're so young, they can't, but you can go back to like 1980 or something like that. Gasoline was like 40 cents a gallon. Nobody knows.
I don't know.
Nobody knows anything like that.
Sticking with it.
And I'm making like $800 a week.
Which is a lot.
That is a lot of money at that time. So I quit that job. I quit that job. And the thing about it, like I said, I'm passionate. When I decide what I want, I go for it. That's what I always tell. When you decide what it is that you want, and then you determine how you're going to get there and who can help you get there, you go for it. You don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. When I made the decision to go into radio, because I didn't have any real training, I learned of a broadcasting school that was in Memphis, and the reason why I went to that school, because at that time you had to have a radio telephone third-class license. So I knew that the only way that I could get at the radio station was with that radio telephone third-class license, and this particular school guaranteed that if you took their course, you could get that license. So that's the only reason why I went there.
So did you go to Memphis to take the course, or was it?
Sure did. I worked a 10-hour shift. Look at her. She knows. I worked a 10-hour shift at the wheel cover factory. I would get off at 4 o'clock in the morning, go home, rest for a little while, then drive to Memphis.
Excuse me, stop. Did y'all hear her? Did y'all hear her? She got off at 4 a.m.
4 a.m. in the morning.
In the a.m.
Yeah.
And got dressed and drove to Memphis,
Drove
which
to
was,
Memphis.
what, 2 hours from you?
That's really about an hour and a half. Maybe about an hour and a half.
Okay,
About an hour and a half.
Okay. But that's still a lot. So,
Look, so I would go attend the classes and come back, try to get a little rest, because I had to go back to the wheel cover factory at 4 that afternoon. So after being in Memphis all day, leave Memphis, drive back, the cycle continued. But that was what I wanted. That was my dream. And I knew that was the only way I could get in the door was with that license. So I did it. So that's why when they would tell me, no, you can't tell me no, and I've been driving up and down the highway, well, no, it's not happening. So
when y'all start paying them student loans, you got to have a fire. Right? You got to have a fire?
Listen, I said this morning and I'll repeat it. I operate on 5 Fs, and I know Fs that we don't like that word on a college campus, but I operate on
I'm
5.
okay with it.
You're okay with the Fs? I got my 5 Fs.
Right.
My first F is fixed. You have to be fixated on your plan, whatever that plan is. My plan is I'm going to be a sportscaster. I'm going to be a music producer. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be a publicist. I'm going to be a marketer. I'm going to be whatever you decide that you're going to be. Then you have to be fixated on that with your plan. Like today, you guys get ready to go somewhere. You put in the GPS in your phone and you just go there. Well, you can kind of look at it as your GPS. But you must have a plan. So you're fixated on your plan. My second F is focus. Never take your eyes off the prize. I don't care what it is. I am going to be a driver. I'm going to be Jay-Z's driver. Okay, well, that's what you're going to do. If that's the plan, if that's the goal, and the plan is set for that, never take your eyes off the prize. Always remain focused on what you said you want. Nobody could tell me that I could not be a DJ. I called it a DJ, later learned it meant air personality, but as I learned, no one could tell me that I couldn't do it. My third F is fight, because there is haters in your midst. They are there. Sometimes the haters are in the house where you live. Sometimes the haters is right here and sitting right next to you. Sometimes people just don't want to see you succeed. So you just got to look at them and go, block them out, change the channel on them, because they don't understand who you are. They don't understand how powerful you are. They don't understand how driven you are. But you do. You know. So fight off the haters. They don't mean nothing anyway. All they're trying to do is stop you. And you are never going to let them stop you, because what you got? Number one, you got your plan, and you're focused on your plan. And so you are willing to fight for what you believe in, for who you are, and what you stand for. You are willing to fight for that because you're going to reach your ultimate goal. My next F is fanatic. You have to be a fanatic about who you are, where you're going, what you want. You can't expect somebody else to believe if you don't believe. You can't expect somebody else to take the charge if you don't take the charge. So you got to sacrifice. You have to take a risk here, a risk there. I know you want to get those. What's the, I was about to say Yeezys, but he got busted. So that ain't, whatever the popular shoe is, I don't know. Maybe if you got that, you might want to take that money and put it on something else. Put it on something that is going to help you get to the goal, the end goal of what you want to achieve. Take a risk. Take a risk on you. Take a chance. And my last F is faith. You got to believe. I don't shove religion down anybody's throat, but I always say you got to believe somewhere where you can go yourself to your higher being, to speak to talk to, when you need that extra something, I'll say, is have that faith. You got to have faith. Those are my 5 F's. I use them all the time. Fanatic. Fanatic. Never stop. Always thinking. Sometimes it's like you're such a fanatic about what you want to do, you eat it, you sleep it, you drink it, you think it. It rides in the car with you. When I wanted to be an air personality, I read billboards. I read newspapers, because that was the one thing that they said, you know, like black people, y'all say something. I mean, he said, ask, the word is ask. It's not axe, chop wood. You chop wood. It's like you axe and chop wood with an axe.
But now, clarify, when you say you read it, you're talking about read it out loud.
I read it out loud, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Well, we talked about that this week, that if you want to work on your diction, your articulation, in fact, what I recommend is go on and get Alexa, and go on and get, who else? Alexa, and who else is the other one? Siri. And all you got to do is talk to them, because if they don't understand you, you're not going to get what you asked for. Okay, so just say Siri until you get it, till they understand it and give it back. But
and you can add to that. I know everybody got cell phones, and the cell phones have voice recorders on them. Record yourself and play it back. Be honest with yourself. If you listen to it and it sounds corny, you know it's going to sound corny to everybody else. So you have that piece to perfect. If you listen to yourself and say to yourself, would I listen to that? If you're going to be a sportscaster and you're talking about a game or talking about an athlete or something like that, record it and play it back. Would that be interesting to you? Would you sit there and listen to that? If you wouldn't listen to it, don't think anybody else will. So you got a piece now to perfect, to work on, to correct. That's all.
And if you're doing love songs, you don't want to sound like this. Now coming up, Anita Baker. Okay? No. So that's part of that. And you all, that whole fanatical thing,
Yeah.
it seems crazy to people who don't understand it. I'm sure there's people who don't know why you're majoring in communication. But that love and that heart will drive you places that you can't get to no other place.
Absolutely.
And so I say all the time, even if people don't understand what you're doing, do it. Because I want to know how you go from country and western to Def Jam.
Wow. That's a journey right there.
Yeah, I shifted because I want you all to hear the story. You don't always start where you're going to end up.
Yeah.
But you understand, she wanted to be in radio, and radio was country and western at the place she
At the
was,
time,
right?
yeah.
So you took the job because you love country and western music.
Not really. I took the job because I wanted to be in radio.
See, I need them to hear that.
That's right. I took the job because I wanted to be in radio. They could have been playing poker. I don't care. I wanted to be in radio.
I don't think they know what polka is.
Well, I really don't know what it is either, but it's a music. It's a genre that, what I'm saying is, it's a genre that I don't know about, I don't care about, it didn't make me any difference. They had a microphone, a transmitter, and a board. Those were my requirements. Can I come in?
Right.
And, it's just that I was able to penetrate, but I penetrated at country music.
And she broke racial barriers, because at first they weren't going to put her on because she figured out she was black, and
Yeah.
they told her she was black and couldn't do country western music.
But it's like adapt and control. You get into a situation and you have to go in and manage it. In certain situations, you adapt to them. So it was country music, just a swinging. That didn't matter.
So when you went to Def Jam, I'm still trying to get there.
Oh, she's trying to.
Want to go to Def Jam?
She's trying to get to Def Jam.
So how did you? How long were you at the country music place?
Well, I was at the country station for about 6 years. I left there. I went to Memphis. I was at an R&B station in Memphis. But how I got to Def Jam, that R&B station, which has a story within itself, because I just saw so many what I called mistakes from what I had learned. And I said one day that a woman should be programming this radio station, because the target demographic was females 18 to 34.
Okay.
But you had all guys making the decisions. And I said a woman should be programming a radio station. Guy says to me, women don't program.
Uh-oh.
What? What do you mean women don't program? But here was the thing about it. He challenged me. He said, so you think women program? Well, tell me a female programmer you know. Oh my God, I didn't know one. So I started looking for it. It was so very difficult. I couldn't find. I said, okay, I can't find one. I'm going to program this radio station. And it took a while. It didn't happen overnight. It took a while, but I did program the station. When I took it, it was at number 10, and I took it to number 2. So that's kind of like my little feather that we went to number 2. But I did not play rap. And at that time, rap was really growing. It was coming on. It was like that new thing. Some people said it was a fad, wasn't going to last, but it was really making a lot of noise. But for me, I felt that if I played rap on my station, because I'm the program director at this time, if I play rap on I'm going to sound just like the other guy. And I didn't want to sound like the other guy, so that's why I refused to play rap at that particular time. So I'm in Atlantic City, New Jersey, at a music conference, and 2 guys come up to me and they say, well, she's the one running that station that not playing LL Cool J. Okay, so it's kind of like the typical promotion guy and the radio guy. They got all come up, well, listen, you got to be doing this, doing that. So I'm standing there, and everything that they said, I had an answer for them. Not playing it because, we're not doing this because, it's not working for me because, everything that they said. Okay, well, we'll give you a great promotion where you can fly tour your listeners to the Bahamas and do, okay, that's beautiful, but I'm still not playing the record. And so
now, why were they trying to convince you to do that?
They wanted me to play the LL Cool J record.
They were the promoters.
Yeah, they were the promoters.
The music.
They didn't care about my format.
Okay.
They didn't care about my station. They only cared about one thing: play that song. That's all they cared about. So I didn't play the song. But the funny thing is that following Monday, I got a phone call from Russell Simmons, And he asked.
Y'all know who Russell Simmons is? I just
So
wanna
y'all
know
ever heard? So y'all ever heard of that guy?
Y'all Russell Simmons? The Russell Simmons? Okay.
And he offered me a job, and I was like, doing what? And
So stop. So he had heard of you.
No, when I at the conference, it was he and another gentleman
That was quizzing you.
quizzing me about
Okay.
playing the record.
But was that before he was the Russell Simmons, or he had already become the
I
Russell?
think it was the Russell Simmons then. It's just that it was growing. It was, I would say, to the underground market. I would say to the younger market that was consuming rap, learning about rap, and it was becoming this thing. He was the godfather to them because nobody else really. I mean, Sylvia Robinson, in my opinion, is the I would say the curator of rap. Had it not been for her and her vision at Sugar Hill Records to take that record that they did with the Sugar Hill Gang, but she also had a girl group, The Sequence. Angie Stone was in that group, and so even though Angie Stone and the group The Sequence, they do not get the credit for it. It's kind of like the first really big female rappers were Salt and Pepper, but The Sequence, they actually were first. They had a hit record.
Heard of it.
We're gonna funk you right on up. Look that up. Funk you right on up.
Yeah.
That was The Sequence.
That was during my gospel period.
But
Geese
you
and Walker.
know,
Okay.
thank you, Mr. Walker. But that was Sylvia Robinson and Sugar Hill really were the front runners, and that very first record by the Sugar Hill Gang.
I know that.
She's out. I know the hip, the hop, the hippie, the hop.
Yeah, okay.
So I think he was, because he was a man. Fellas, I don't male bash, so don't think that. But I think that because he was a man, and there were things that he could do in the neighborhood, just be about it, or be about the art form, be about the culture that probably Miss Robinson couldn't do. And so I think it was a banner that he took and he was already doing parties and stuff. So I'm not saying that he wasn't doing anything.
Okay.
It's like, I think it was easier for him to become king on the mountain than it was for her.
Gotcha.
And he was very well established. This was like, when he hired me, it was in '89.
Okay.
So he was there.
Stop for a moment. But you all heard that Russell Simmons called her because of a conversation she had at a conference. Okay. Don't underestimate the conversations you have
Right.
when you go somewhere. That's why I tell my senior seminar all the time, be ready.
Oh
Be
my
ready,
gosh.
Be prepared. Be willing to stand toe to toe and have the conversation. Doing you. Okay. that was
If
just
you,
fair.
at what you just said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Always be ready. Listen, that's the wrap up right there.
Right there.
Be ready. Because you don't know. You could be on the elevator and Oprah step on there. You just don't know. You have to be I'm just saying in today's marketplace, it used to be certain people travel in certain places and they would be, and you wouldn't be there. That's not the case today. You step on the elevator and Oprah on the elevator. You're at the mall, whoever. You just never, but you have to always be ready. It's like in my case, I was not playing his music, but what he liked about me was I didn't shy away. I had an answer for everything that he said. I held my ground in terms of why. I didn't say, I don't like it, or it's not good, or anything like that. I had a definitive reason as to why I was not playing the music. So what he liked was the fact that I stood up for the station, I stood up for my format, I believed in what I was doing, and I saw how it was working for me. He wanted that same thing for his company. So he said, the same thing that you said, the way you positioned yourself with the station, I want that for my company. And I said, but I don't know anything about the recording industry. He said, don't worry about it, I'll teach you. I need you to have that same conviction, that same passion, that same determination, but for my artists and my music. And well, the next thing,
But what made you say yes?
oh, that salary, girl.
Okay. So it was a little more than what you got at the country music?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, right.
And
But y'all follow the pattern. She started out where, and then she got to where. And once she got to where, she was ready, and they were willing to pay her for what she knew.
Yeah.
Not what she could do, but what she knew how to do, and they would teach her the rest. And I'm gonna stop right here for 1 second to just remind you all, as you look for jobs and positions and stuff, you're not expected to know it all. Okay, you're expected to be able to learn what you don't know. So don't drag your feet on positions and jobs you get offered because you're not sure you know how to do it. That's not why they're hiring you. They're hiring you because of what she just exemplified. Okay, so you said the money.
It was nice.
So now psychologically, what did you have to do to prepare to go from Nashville to where'd you go? You went from Memphis.
I was in Memphis. I was still in Memphis at that time.
Okay.
But psychologically, what I had to do is I had to become them. And that was a change for me. Because I was not a record promoter.
So wait a minute, when you think of Def Jam, what do you think? Huh?
Oh, they said comedy. Wow. I wouldn't have thought they would have.
Really? You're thinking Def Jam? I know, that was on, but.
Wow.
Not Def Jam Records? So, was that your entryway, the comedy? Right.
Wow.
I know, I didn't see that one coming.
I didn't see that one coming. That hit me from the left side there. I didn't see that.
Some of the artists at Def Jam Records when you got there.
When I got there, I was Third Base, LL, Public Enemy, Newkirk, Allison Williams. Those were the artists. They hadn't signed any of the, Ja Rule, DMX, all of that hadn't happened then when I got there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had to make a mental.
Well, what I did, how I made it work for me, I was very good at reading copy. I was very good at breathing life into copy. So what I would do is whatever record that we were working, I would write down everything that I wanted to say about that particular artist or that record. So when I'm talking to the people at the radio station, I'm actually reading, but that's what I did at the radio. So I'm actually reading, but I was sounding very authoritative, like I really knew what I was talking about.
What was your title at Def Jam?
Oh, I was just a rep. I was just a field rep.
Oh, so you were a field rep?
I was a field rep.
Okay,
yeah.
so you all know what field reps do?
Just out in the field, way of it. Yeah. Well, the field.
Octavia, that's close.
Yeah. So, in the record industry back then, a field rep is just the person that works locally. You're working locally at the radio stations. You're taking the product to the radio stations. You're trying to articulate the value of the song to hope that they will play it, and just try to establish a relationship with yourself and the radio station so that they'll not only play that record because you got others coming. So you kind of serve as a representative for the company in that particular market. And so the term is just field rep.
Y'all remember Cadillac Records, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, the guy that was going to the radio station,
right,
trying to get them to play their music. That's what a field rep
That's the field rep.
But you didn't have money to pay them to do it, did you?
I didn't do that. That might have been somebody else. That wasn't me.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's another conversation. That's another conversation.
Okay.
But
so now you rose up the ranks of Def.
I did. I think the really thing that made things work for me, I knew one thing they didn't know. See, they know how to make records. They knew how to go out and find artists and do that. But they didn't know radio. So I had a unique position. I had something they didn't have. I mean, they knew how to go to a radio station and ask them to play their songs, but they knew nothing about programming. They knew nothing about scheduling. They knew nothing about time spent listening. They knew nothing about audience numbers. They didn't know none of that. All they knew was play my record. So I used that to show that I had a skill set that no one in the company had. So each time, it's not like I bombarded them with that. It's just that each time I did things differently. And they would always ask me, how is she getting these stations? Why is it these stations are communicating with her? They were communicating with me because I was talking their language. I never went to the stations to talk about Def Jam or to talk about Def Jam artists. I went to the stations to talk to them how Def Jam artists and Def Jam music could help them win. I can help your numbers. I can change your numbers. I can build your promotions, and I can do it with this. So I used the company to build my relationships with radio stations. And they when I kept piling up radio stations and piling them up, they was like, we need you in New York.
Okay, you all, you've learned this in public speaking, you're supposed to. The whole art of persuasion, okay? You give them what they want
Give
to
them what
get
they
what
want.
you want. And follow the train. She started a country western place where they didn't even want her at the radio station. They wouldn't let her, she could talk about this, but they wouldn't even let her on air. She was a receptionist, okay? And just divine intervention. Somebody got sick, they could not find a replacement, so they let her go, but she couldn't turn on the mic.
Do not open that mic, is what he said.
That started it all. Okay, so she learned radio, then she moved on.
Can I share a funny story
You
with
can.
you?
Yes,
I
go.
want to share a funny story.
Yeah.
I am at the country radio station, and I'm doing my thing. I'm happy because finally I've gotten in the radio station and I am on the air. They had a promotion called the World's Dirty Truck Contest. So the Dirty Truck Contest meant you just mess up your truck, put mud on it, whatever. Some of those guys was out there with deer heads, dead animals, everything. And the prize was just $1,000. But here's the thing. That morning,
I'll put some dirt on my
you put some dirt for $1,000.
Yeah, I ain't even got a truck. Yeah.
That morning, the general manager at the time was a gentleman named Jim Holt. He came in and he says, well, what time are you getting to the dirty truck contest? I said, you got jokes, I'm not coming. I'm not coming to the dirty truck contest. And he looks at me and says, what? Now, here's the general manager now. What do you mean you're not coming? And I said, Jim, Copenhagen chewing tobacco, Budweiser beer, Jack Daniels, I have no business out there. I said, the blackest thing out there going to be the tires on those trucks. I'm not coming out there. And his thing was, I have gone against the grain for you. All the things that you've wanted to do, he said, no. You are a member of the staff. Every employee will come to the dirty truck contest. Any employee that does not come to the dirty truck contest obviously does not work here. Oh, wow. And you read between the lines on that one. But here's the funny. I go to the dirty truck contest. Oh, it is packed. Wall to wall. Packed. Not us, by the way. It is packed. So I'm backstage because I don't want to come out stage. I was happy playing my country music. You don't need to know who I am. I'm happy. Leave me alone. But I'm standing over there, and I kept saying, I have no business here. He just like, time to give the prize away. $1,000 for the dirtiest truck. And so before he awards the prize, he wants to introduce everybody at the station. So he names off one guy. This is Billy Bob. Everybody whistling and jumping and clowning. Best person, whistling and clowning and just making all kinds of noise. And then he calls my name. And I walk out on that stage. Crickets. Nothing. Just silence. Everybody's like,
They were saying, she black.
I didn't participate in anything. I just was happy I came at 10 o'clock in the morning. I left at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, doing what I love, playing good old Dolly Parton, and I was happy. I need nothing else.
So what happened after that?
I'm standing there, and of course I'm terrified. I won't lie, I'm terrified. But I walk to the mic, and I say something. I don't know what I said, but I walked to the mic and I said something, and some guy in the back of the room says, well, I'll be damned, that is lady. And he does this loud whistle, and he starts clapping, and then the other people are like, oh yeah, that's lady. And they all start, man, I'm standing there like, okay, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. But that was like a really, it's almost like hard to describe because for a minute it was terrifying because I didn't know what was going to happen. And then after the guy does the loud whistle, it's kind of like it was a moment of acceptance. And they was like, oh, okay, this lady.
She's a good one.
Oh, she's good. I listened to her. She's good. But that kind of gave me the encouragement to push to play black music. on his precious country radio station.
Okay, and she did, you all.
Mm-hmm.
She did. She got the foot in the door, and then you started at 10 o'clock at night?
Well, I started first, I was at 10 o'clock at night, and then it got so good, he moved it to 8 o'clock. Got so good, he moved it to 6 o'clock. So I was on the country radio station playing black music from 6 to midnight.
And yeah, people are going home from work around here.
Yep.
That's the bottom end of drive time.
Yep.
Okay.
But
So
it was
never
good.
be afraid of being the only one or the first. Never be afraid.
And ask.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes, what's that saying? Closed mouth is never fed?
Yep.
Because my dad used to always say, that it's only two things they can do. They can tell you yes, they can tell you no. They tell you no, you're going to flip those letters. It's on. Going back. I'm going back. Again and again. I don't care how many times you tell me no. I can tell you the number of times I've been told no in my life. No, 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 but flip it. I always remember he said that. Flip it. N-O is O-N. It's on. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll pause right here. Any questions?
Besides your dad, like, what really motivated you to keep pursuing your dreams regardless of the no's?
Because I believed I could do it. Even when they said I couldn't, I believed I could do it. I just believed in myself. And a lot of times, you know, I would play my tapes. I play them for my family. I know they laughed at me. I know they laughed. She said, no, we didn't laugh. I believe they laughed at me. I would play my tapes for my dad. Man, when I play them for my dad, he always said they sounded good. I don't care what it was. Anytime I played it, he always said it sounded good. So I just believed that I could do it, and I believed I would be a success at it. I just needed somebody to give me a chance. And so every time they said no, I knew I had to go back to try to get that chance.
I was on how did you not lose motivation? Like, what did you do on the hard days? Like the really hard days where it's hard to get up. And like you said, you was going back and forth from Memphis and to your home. How was it?
So what did I do on the hard days? I just drank a strong cup of coffee.
I thought you were going someplace else.
Nah, drink a strong cup of coffee. It was hard, but I was very determined because as I said earlier, I was very fixated on that. And I was focused on it. And anybody that knows me, as like you said, my posse from the early days, they know I would never turn around. You just couldn't change it. I never stopped. I knew that is what I was going to do. I just had to get my foot in the door. And I want to add this that made me think about it. When you know, Michelle Obama said it, that when you get to a certain place or position in your career, it's your responsibility to reach back and help someone else. And one of the funniest things of a young man that I hired when I was at Def Jam, he sent a box to the office, and I got the box, and it was a sneaker box, a shoe box. At first I looked at it, and I opened it, and in the shoe box was a shoe, a big sneaker. And in the sneaker was his resume and a note. He said, I'm just trying to get my foot in the door. I called him. No, I called him. He said, I'm just trying to get my foot in the door. And the next page was his resume. Now, I called that kid.
Did you hire him?
Yes, I did. I did. I figured he could teach me something.
The question I have for you is, you had a lot of experience going into your positions. What did you learn from your different positions that you had? Like, what experience did you gain from?
Probably, I'm going to say tenacity. I just never, like I said, I never gave up, even from the country to the R&B to Def Jam to all of them. I think a couple of things I may have learned, my people skills. I may have increased my people skills because when I got into, say, in upper management, so to speak, and you're responsible for other people and you're responsible for their livelihood, you know, you think differently, because a wrong decision could mean Bill can't take care of his family, or Bill loses his job, or something happens to Bill, and that's because of a decision that you made. So I think that one of the things I learned was to really work on my people skills. And I think I did a pretty good job at it because my guys were, listen, my guys were, as the kids say, bomb.com. They were the epitome of the industry. And in the beginning, people laughed at us. They used to call us the Green Beret. They called us the Green Beret because, that means like, they're all rookies, they don't know anything. And a part of that was correct. When Russell brought me to New York, I didn't have a staff in the field. There were no, because I was once the field rep. And so when I told him, I said, okay, in order for me to accomplish what you want, I'm letting him know how many people I need. I needed 10 people. He didn't give me 10 in the very beginning. But I think the first group was just 6, which evolved into 8. I eventually got 10, but all of the people that I hired had never worked at a record company before. But I knew them. From my various trips in the field, these were people that I had met along the way. These were people that I could have been in the field with, say, LL Cool J, and I need to set up a table, or I need to do something, and they were like, oh, Miss Walker, I'll do that for you, I got that. So these were people that I met that would just volunteer to do stuff for me, and I never forgot them. So when I was in a position to hire, I remembered, okay, in Dallas, I know that guy. Oh, in this city, I know that girl, let me call her. So I had a nice, well-rounded staff of people that knew me. They didn't know the record industry, but they knew me. And so the guarantee that I gave to Russell was each one of these people, because he was like, you got all these people in here and they don't know nothing about the industry. And I told him, I said, when I came here, I didn't know anything. So I'm gonna cut the top of their heads off and pour myself in. So you got 6 of me, but you got to give me time. So he gave me the budget. I flew them in. They stayed with me for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We drilled down every day, 2 weeks. When I unleashed them on the market, listen, man, from 1996 to 2003, you didn't hear nobody but Def Jam. I know you didn't. I know you didn't, because I was in charge. I know you didn't hear. You had the Def Comedy Jam, you had the Def Poetry Jam, you had the Def Jam Records, you had Def Jam on Rush Hour 1, Rush Hour 2, you had Def Jam on the Nutty Professor, the Clumps, DMX and Steven Seagal, Exit Wounds. We was everywhere. We were everywhere. We had energy drinks, Def Con, the energy drinks. We had golly, I can't think of the name of it, the video game, Vendetta, Def Jam Vendetta. We were everywhere, everywhere. So I would say this anywhere. We had the best staff in the country.
That learned from you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they said today, they said, listen, Method Man and Redman, who just didn't like me, because I whip them in shape. They don't like me. That's okay. But Method Man and Redman did a verses, and they were doing their verses, and in the middle of the verses, they stopped and said, we got to stop. We got to shout out the real OG. Miss Johnnie Walker, good evening. I was like, see, y'all crazy right now. But they all, even when I made them angry, they know. They know everything that I did was for the greater good of the company, but also the greater good for them. And I just never really had any problems with them. I never had any disrespect or anything like that. It's just, it just worked. It worked.
I kind of want to piggyback to the civil rights.
Okay.
I know you were a big part of history in Grenada before the public school system. And you're probably one of the first ones that actually integrated the Grenada public school system. So can you give us a more in-depth story of how that was, knowing that there was a lot of prejudice, discrimination, and racism in that area at that time?
Well, let me clarify that a little bit there. I don't think that I would say that, what was you said, that I didn't integrate the schools, but that was my class. Let me just say that. That was my class. What was it called? The Integration Act, or what was the act in 1966 that was passed? Civil Rights Act that was passed that the schools had to be integrated. So that was my class. And so our class, I'm just going into high school, And so that class was the class that would go to, the name of the high school was John Rundle High School. And so, of course, there were others that didn't want us in that school. And so going to that school every morning was very dangerous. And so Martin Luther King would come at various times and walk to school with us. It was challenging. I was there when they had they made a decision to take all of their children out of school. All during the morning, over the intercom, they were taking their kids out of school. Wow. By lunchtime, the only students that were in class or at the school were black. And so they were positioned outside with chains, axe handles, bats, whatever. And so when they rang the bell at noon for lunchtime, of course, we're kids. You go running out the building. So as they running out the building to go to lunch or go sit on a bench to eat their sandwiches or what have you, they were out there. And as they came out, they beat them. We watched our friends. I watched because a friend of mine grabbed me and said, don't go out that door, and locked us in the auditorium. And we were able to stand on seats and look out the window and watch our friends get beat. And they were merciless, like I said, with chains, bats, axe handles. I saw police officers just standing there. They wasn't doing anything. So it was horrible. But, you know, I like to say that my friend here was arrested, went to jail. It was just a
mom of Mississippi Valley.
She's yes. No. Definitely. I mean, it's a lot of horrors. Parents were, if their children attended the schools, they had an ultimatum. Take your child out of school or you're fired. So your parents, you gotta take care of your family. So we're young, we wanna go back to the white school, we're going back. But then if you find out that your kid is in the school, your parents lose their job. So it was just a lot of different things. I went back to the black school, which was Carrie Dotson at the time. My father worked for the city of Grenada, so it was I couldn't hide. But you know, it was a lot. It was a lot. I think that Sandra here, who was a part of a lot of the meetings, a lot of the stuff that was going on at Bellflower Church, which was kind of like Communication Central at that time. That it was, let me just say this, for everyone in this room, the privileges that you have, the things that you do, somebody paid a healthy price for it. So, yes, somebody did. Somebody paid a healthy price. So be mindful and be respectful. And I mean, I know we take a lot for granted. We just go to IG and go da-da-da-da-da-da. We didn't have IG, but we was on point, right? We was focused. We was
Is there any corruption or even what you've seen in the movie industry or the music industry?
Wow, I don't know how to answer that.
Did you all hear the question?
He said, let me say, did you say, was there any corruption that I noticed in the music industry? Quite a bit, I might add. I don't really know how you want me to answer that, but...
Tell us the stuff that won't get you arrested.
Yes, right, I'm not trying to get arrested, I'm not. Well, I mean, you know, you just see things where, I guess you might say where people really don't care about the artists in terms of, say, the monies. If they take, say, the artist publishing, like you wrote the song, you did the song, and just to get on, you think this person has your back and they don't. They've already taken your publishing. They've copywritten your music. You think they're doing it for you because you don't understand, and they do it. Should your music explode and begin to make money, and you don't understand why you're not getting any of it, but he's doing all right over there. So things like that. It just could have been a myriad of situations where monies were mishandled or misused that, you know, that I've seen. Like you said, you know, we don't want to. I don't want to get into anything that I have to come back and answer tomorrow. And it may be at the end of the day.
I know.
But it's just a lot. You know, I always tell artists, before you sign anything, know what you're signing. And it's not even an artist. That could be the engineer, that could be the producer, that could be any involvement that you have. Be very aware of what you are agreeing to. If you don't understand it, just go ask someone, you know, because just because you're on the right side does not mean the people that you're doing business with are on the right side. So you just want to be aware, because if you got tattooed on your forehead, I want to be a star, they know they're going to get you. I want to be famous. We used to call it the fame game. He want to be famous. Doesn't care about anything else. He just wants to be famous. Okay. So you're not really paying attention. So a lot of times we would come back and say, well, whose fault is that? Because you could have asked questions, or you could have made sure that you looked at what you were agreeing to. Look at Megan Thee Stallion right now, trying to get out of her contract. Sometimes it's just you trying to get on, and you're trying to be that next thing. And you don't know that you think it's hot, but you don't know that it's going to really blow up like she's blown up. And so now you find yourself in a contract that somebody else is getting paid. You're doing all the heavy lifting, but they putting the deposits in the bank. So it's really, really important to be aware of what you are agreeing to.
That's why Prince went to the symbol for a while. because
How
somebody-
would you decipher what's a good song or a good artist? Like, what would you things you'd be looking for to know, oh, I'm gonna play this, or oh, I might sign this person, and something like that?
I would look for any activity that person has in the market. And of course, like right now, they will come and tell you they got 100,000 followers or something like that. And that's cool, but if you got 100,000 followers and can't get 5 people to come to your show, that's a problem. And so for me, that's why the labels, I won't say for me, that's why the labels are so slow to make the investment. You can buy followers. You know I'm telling the truth. They have these software and things out there where you can get followers. So you have all of these followers, but you can't move product. So you can't move anything. So I would, if I were going to sign someone, I'd be looking for some level of activity. One of the things that Russell used to always say, before we sign somebody, let's make sure that person is a star in their own backyard. So if I were to come to Edabina and you were the artist, and you're doing a show, then I'm going to be in this auditorium. I want every seat to be packed, because you're letting me know you're a star here. So now my job is to make you a star around the world, or at least in the U.S., so to speak, because I know you're a star in Edabina. I came to the show. Every seat was full. So that's incentive for me to bring you on board. I'll give you a quick example. Ludacris, who was a DJ at Hot 97 in Atlanta, his name was Chris Lover Lover when he was a DJ. And the thing about Chris Lover Lover, he had his own CD called Incognito. That was the name of his CD. That same CD that we took and called Southern Hospitality. We didn't change it. We changed the name because that was a little bit more marketable. But the thing about it is, that kid was selling CDs. He was selling really on some titles more than I was. Now, I got budget, I got staff, I got people, places, and things. How is he outselling me? But he was. Okay, find that kid. Go get him. And that's when we got him. And I mean, obviously there's some other components to the story, but we got him and brought him to Def Jam. And when the agreement was reached and he signed to the company, the thing is, the first thing they did with that album that was already doing really well in the marketplace, we just changed the name. It became Southern, I think it was Southern Hospitality. But prior to it becoming Southern Hospitality, it was called Incognito. And his name was Chris Lover Lover.
Where did Ludacris come from?
I guess they got creative in the room one day.
Ludacris.
And
That's the name. That's the name.
Yeah, because his name was Chris Lover Lover.
Okay, you all, we're about to wrap up because I know some of you have to go to class. Is there one more comment or one more question before we go?
Like most of us being mass communication students here, how important would you say the skills that we're learning in pursuit of our degree it was in your career and all the things that you've done?
extremely, I can't stress it, you have such a golden opportunity to learn all facets. You have a golden opportunity to touch many facets so that you are not in a box. Make that mass be just that, mass. See all the things that you can touch so you're not a one-trick pony. You have an opportunity to learn a variety of things that impact music, that impact film, that impact the broadcasting industry. Even so, it may not even say sports, fashion. All of it is right here, and you have the opportunity to impact all of that. You just have to decide which one is going to be your focus, and then you can always bring the others in. I never tell anybody to do one thing, but there has to be that one thing that you specialize in, that you do well, that you do better than anything else, and you utilize that to take on those other things that you might be interested in. But you're in an excellent position, in an excellent place. Please use it. Please, please, please. The last thing we need in the industry is some more ignorant people that got a position and don't know what they're doing. And we do have it.
You can't learn it.
Yeah, it's
Mr.
horrible.
White?
Yes, I want you to follow up, if you would, on that salary transition from $800 per week to going to the radio station.
$96.
Did y'all hear that? Tell me, how much you was making?
At Rockwell International, I was making $800 a week. It was a factory. But that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do radio. I really, really, really wanted to do it. And when I got the job, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm in. And I went to the factory. You know, the funny thing, they wouldn't, they didn't let me quit. The guy put me on a 90-day sabbatical. Like I didn't even know what a sabbatical was. I had to go home and look that up. What is a 90-day? What is that? But they put me on a 90-day sabbatical because the guy said, oh, you'll be back. Because you're not going to make at that radio station what you're making here. So you'll be back. Go and get that out your system. He said, go and get that out your system. And I just turned around and looked at him and I said, thank you. I will never be back. And I didn't. I never went back. And that first check was $96. I was like, okay.
Just maybe.
Let me figure this out.
If I only eat on Monday, Friday, and every other Saturday.
Oh, $96 Monday and Saturday. Those were the days. I hope somebody come to the station and bring some crackers or something. So,
Doctor, got one other question here.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Jerry Redmond, President of National Alumni Association.
yes. There you go.
Get this
Got an alumni in here.
Because we're also going to have him as one of our speakers. I'm
Okay.
glad you're here today. Thank you.
Just grateful for you investing your time with our students.
He's in this
So on
too.
behalf of National Alumni Association, thank you for your time and commitment to helping them see how important it is to apply themselves.
How did you feel driving through your hometown, leading the Martin Luther King parade, and knowing that Martin Luther King had to be the one who helped escort you and your classmates to school, but now you've been invited back to your hometown, town. I know you say you didn't integrate it, I know that you were a part of it. So just tell us, how did that feel for you on yesterday?
It was absolutely overwhelming. One of the things that I said at the breakfast they had that morning, that I was so excited to come and do this because it gave me the opportunity to do something I had never done, and that was to tell everybody in that room, thank you. I couldn't believe, it's almost like you don't think of yourself sometimes, and I just could not, when they asked me, it was not even I didn't take a second to even think about it. Because I reflected on Bellflower Church. I reflected on the marches. I reflected on John Rundle High School. I reflected on the day I watched those kids get beat. I reflected on so many things. I said, this is such a privilege and an honor. Y'all just tell me what time I need to be there and where I need to be. I'm there. Because I felt so honored. And I mean, I've been in a lot of situations, received tons of awards, just people have given me. You know, I was recently installed in the Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. I didn't know that. I just don't think anything meant more to me than to be in my hometown leading that parade with Dr. Martin Luther King's name on it. Like, it was overwhelming, really.
Do you have any regrets?
Regrets of,
Any choices you made in your career?
yeah, I do. One that has haunted me all my life, and I hope that I made up for it. My father wanted me to go to college. That's why I'm so adamant about speaking to college students about the power of learning, the power of coming, listening to your instructors, grasping the knowledge, grasping the education, so that you can be that next leader. You can be that next power broker. My dad wanted me to go to college, and I wanted to get married. I got married.
I didn't see that coming. I did not see that coming.
Guess what happened? When I got married, he didn't come to my wedding. He said, I will not come and watch you ruin your life. And he didn't come. He didn't come. And I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought that's what I was supposed to. I wanted to get married, have a family. That's what you do, right?
Guess we women.
That's what we do. And he kept saying, you need a formal education. He said to me, I'll never forget, he said, you are smart, you grasp things, you get stuff, you understand stuff. All you need is a formal education, and you just have no idea. Man, you don't know what you're talking about. And I didn't listen. I didn't listen. I wish.
The pushback would be, and you all, if you got to go, we're going to do this. But the pushback would be, but you succeeded. What would have been different if you had gone to school?
Well, I think that, number one, maybe the formal training that he thought would be so great for me, and I think I would have needed that. But I think for somebody like me, it may have been the opposite, because then maybe I would have got lazy. That's why I always tell kids, you got to do the work. You got to do the work. Since I didn't go to college, I had to do the work. So I did the work, and I did the work. And I said, I don't want you to do what I did. I don't want you to have the problems that I had. You have an opportunity to get everything that I had. I'm not saying it's easier. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you have an opportunity to get it, but get it in a different way. I lived in the library. Literally lived in the library. My very first copywriting and advertising job, I got it because I told the guy, if you hire me and I don't prove to be the best that you have, you've lost nothing. I'm going to do it 2 weeks for free. And at the end of the 2 weeks, if I'm not the best you've ever had, then you don't owe me anything. So and he wasn't losing anything. So I was doing an air shift and coming in every day writing copy. I was the best that he ever had, because in 2 weeks he offered me the job. So that's how I got into marketing, copywriting, and advertising. But I had to teach myself. And I just, I tell my grandson, who's in college now, wants to be an attorney, I push. I put a 529 plan in effect for him when he was 1 year old. 1 year old. Because I do not want him to go through what I went through. So if I say that I had a regret, I believe that I probably would have excelled greater, probably, had I gone to college and had I taken the time and got that formal training. But I'm not ashamed, because my dad we always talked about, my sister read. My sister was another avid reader, and we just read. And so a lot was self-taught, and it's one thing to call words, it's another thing to read and comprehend. So
let's stop at read.
Yeah, it's so important. It's fundamental. Okay. So.
Well, consider yourself an alum of Mr. McGowan State.
You are here.
Yes.
And that's why. Again, a shout out to Mr. White for bringing us such a gift today.
Thank you so much for tuning into our broadcast. If you would like to catch up with many more stories that we have, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this is MVSU News on WVSD TV.